Runback season week some blah. I'm Jake. This is Josh. This is Justin. There's Ryan. They're in directions around me. I'm very tired. I just woke up from a nap. We have to get this done quickly because Josh has things to do in like 20 minutes. So, getting into our previous week's predictions, I won. Suck it, the rest of you. I'm better than all of you except for Justin because I'm tied with Justin now. We both have 2 points. Ryan and Josh have 1 point according to this thing. Standings for the week now are Shenanigans have suffered their first loss at the hand of Ep5. They're now 9-1. Top lane winners are 8-2. Ep5 is 6-4. Brahms OnlyFans 5-5. Dogwater Gaming 5-5. Lost Chapter 4-6. Team Silver Mechanics 4-6. Boom, what up 3-7. Dinner Roll 3-7. Little John Big Peters 3-7 as well. Justin, you were watching somebody last week. How'd they do?
I was watching somebody, and his name was Nature Dan. He did not play in the PMLCS, but
what?
He and his wife brought in a beautiful kid to this world. So congratulations to him. Very, very happy. Sounds like everybody is nice and healthy. But he did send me a picture on Facebook of his brand new baby. He didn't give me a gender, so I'd give you a gender, but.
Edit that cute little shit's face in.
He had a kid.
I bet he named it Malachi.
Malachi Carmignani. But no, it's really, really big stuff for him and his family. Super, super excited for that.
Oh yeah!
Yay, Dan!
We love to see it. Yay, Nature Dan. Ryan, who were you watching last week? Smooth on these segues today.
Yeah, wait, I'm really fucked. I remember I was watching Quadratic last week. I didn't actually get a chance to watch that game last week because I was being a depressy boy and having sadness. Take care of your mental health. But I'm sure Evan was great, and even if he wasn't, he's a really nice guy. So
I can tell you how Quadratic did because he was in the same game as my player to watch.
Nice.
Game 1, Quadratic went 2-6-8, playing Scion, being a tanky boy in top lane against this looks like Symphonia John playing Lilia top, who looks like he did pretty well. Unfortunately, that was that was a defeat for his team. Well, they won the next game. He played Scion again, except this time it was into Symphonia John's Kale. They performed much better. And to continue the segue off, that also translates over into my player to watch of Evangelist last week. I talked about Evangelist being one of those, like sometimes you get a diamond at him and sometimes you get, flashing for scuttle at him. This was weirdly middle of the road. It wasn't so like high-low for Adam this time. It's kind of like what we've expected to see from him. It's like we go one direction and then the other direction. But he went 6, 9, and 10 on the Kane in that game 1 that they unfortunately lost. Looks like some other things are happening as far.
He said he threw that game. He said that he threw it at a crab. So
yeah, so it looks like some shenanigans happened there. And then game 2, he went 6, 2, and 8, playing Vi. I'm seeing Cornstar with 20 kills, so I'm gonna guess that's where all the gas came from that game. But kind of a middle of the pack performance from Adam on both games. Not as heavy of a feed fest as we've seen before, but also not as heavy of a carry fest as we've seen before. So there's that. Josh, who were you watching last week?
I was watching Bees R Us, which tying into we'll get to in a minute here, ended up in a 1-1 with the first loss for Shenanigans at the hands of F5. So Bees, Bees on Shenanigans won their first game, built Ravenous Hydra on MF, which
it's weird.
Interesting.
It's really weird.
But Bees had the most kills on their team and has 4 completed items, so obviously was doing something right. They won the game. So don't question it. Second game went more of a supportive character playing.
They lost that game, by the way.
Oh, they lost that game. So don't build Ravenous. I got the reading things wrong.
Yes.
So don't build Ravenous Hydra on MF because you'll lose to an Graves that has 11 kills. They won game 1. They lost game 2 when he played a more supportive ADC playing the Ashe. Maya was able to play the Graves himself that game. Nice carry jungler, and the supportive Ashe was able to work out for them in that sense. Bees did well. Leading into a game to watch, if we don't talk about that. But it was Shenanigans versus F5, and I said 1-1. Shenanigans win game
You said they win game
1,
2.
they lose game 2. So, yeah. So I called it. I called it, right?
No. Other way around.
Oh, did I call it reversed?
Yeah, you called it other way around. I said that we win the game 1.
Pull up the clip.
I don't remember.
Nah, don't edit
Clip
that.
it.
Don't edit that.
Clip it. Clip it.
That was a spicy game. I just want to say that I threatened
Here we go.
Opie to bring out the Wukong and try to dive me, and he did. And I played Cassiopeia, and I just exhausted and stunned him every time he did. So screw you, Opie. SMD.
Remember last? Hey, wait, time out. Remember last week when I said we're gonna alternate weeks talking about ourselves?
Yeah.
Clip it. Clip it.
Booyah, clip it. All right. So getting into our predictions for week 6, our games for this week are Boom versus TLW, F5 versus TSM, Lil Jon Big Peters versus Dogwater Gaming, Bofa versus Shenanigans, and Roll versus TLC. I'm doing that thing where I predicted a lot of 1-1s again. I've got Boom versus TLW going 1-1. Boom's on a high note, having performed pretty well the past couple weeks. Under a reinvigorated Grant who has literally woken up and chosen violence and then gone back to sleep. But I think TLW is probably some of the stiffer competition that they face. I said I would never predict a 2-0 for my team again after losing my prediction before, so we're 1-1 this week. Even though I think we have a pretty good shot, depending on how we show up for our games. We got Little John's Big Peters versus Dogwater Gaming. I've got this swinging over in the favor of Dogwater Gaming. I think they're just a little bit better than those guys, even though we've seen the spark of life from Little John Big Peters. Could be a 1-1, but I'm going to err on the side of Josh being, showing up for his games. I've got Bofa versus Shenanigans as my game to watch. So Shenanigans has officially been wounded, everybody. I think that there is something to learn from that, which is AKA play anti-dive things. And your backline should be able to live for a little while, which is kind of the key to beat them. So I've got this ending as a 1-1 because I think Bofa has some gigabrains on their team that can actually know that without me needing to tell anybody, and they'll be able to play something that is similar to us or play something that's unique in their own way, such as that Sona Seraphine that I've been trying to get coaxed into playing. Then I've got Roll versus TLC. I've been trying to predict these 1-1s in favor of Fred and his saltiness, but Fred's not being salty enough for me. His dinner rolls suck. He needs to show up and start being an actual carry for his team. And until he does that, they're going to keep getting clapped throughout the split. Sorry, Justin. You guys get 2-0'd by TLC this week. Justin, what are your predictions?
I'm mad. So, speaking of salty dinner rolls, I'm going to start with my game. I have us going 1-1. I don't know why y'all sleeping on us. I know we've dropped the ball multiple times, but the games that we have been playing...
sleeping on you because you asleep at the wheel.
The games that we have been playing, Ryan, have been a lot closer than I think people put us on for. So I do think we'd have a chance against TLC going 1-1 there. I do think we drop a game, but that's besides the point. Boom versus TLW. Like Jake said, Grant's on this high. He and his team are on this high. And Boom What Up being our almost permanent training partners. I'm seeing a lot of life in that team. So I believe they can take a game off of Top Lane Wonders. So I have that going 1-1. I have F5 going 2-0 over TSM. I think F5 showed a lot last week versus Shenanigans. Loving what I'm seeing there. So I have them going 2-0 versus TSM. Lil Jon Big Peters, they do have that spark of life, but I do think DWG is the better team. So I have a 2-0 going for DWG, and then Shenanigans showing weakness last week. I feel like Bofa can take a game off of them. I have that at 1-1.
All right. Josh, who are you watching?
My game to watch this week is the Boom versus TLW match. Like both of you said, Mammoth is on an upswing. In addition to that, I think Coach Eggboy is on a major upswing as well. Since the week where he was my player to watch and he was disappointing to watch, as he said so himself, he's been playing very well. took a week off, really invigorated, playing much better than he was before. The lane swap situation, like we assumed would help, did help. I also think that having Mammoth in the ADC role and Coach Eggboy in the mid role will help neutralize the strongest power of TLW in Skiz, no matter which lane he decides to play. And as their main carry, I think that'll help a lot. And wherever other people go, Coach Eggboy or Mammoth will be able to abuse the other player that's not Skiz, I think. So I think they have a really good chance. You can't count out Chase, though. So I do give a 1-1. F5 versus TSM. F5 is in a good place. They're a solid team. TSM, I don't think is as strong overall, all around. We did tie 1-1 with them this week, but it was not because they played better, in my opinion. It's because we drafted worse. DWG versus Little Diamond Peters, I think we 2-0. Honestly, not really worried about them. Bite my ass before when I say that, but it's Kim Peter, and I'm in the lane against him, and I've neutralized him before with a better support, and I can neutralize him now. Bofa for Shenanigans, I also think it's going to be a 1-1. You can't count Chris or Greg on the Bofa side, and Shenanigans will have a little bit of a fire coming off of their losing their first game, but again, like we talked about last week, all of their 2-0s were against the 4 current lowest scoring placing teams. And so losing a game to F5, I think they also could very easily drop a game to Bofa. And then Roll versus TLC, I have as a 2-0 for TLC. I think it's hard to count out Adrian. And unless Fred can get on that Viego or decides he wants to carry the game himself and allow Justin to carry with him, as opposed to just trying to facilitate carrying happening, I don't see them being able to take over Adam and Adrian.
All right, Ryan, spit some salt.
I changed my game of the week so I could bitch at Justin. Boom versus TLW, I have going 1-1. Mammoth has found new life in ADC. I think his move to top was ambitious, to say the least, and unimpactful. I think moving him to the jungle was insane. And I think putting him back in a lane where he's super comfortable but is able to actually beat the damage has been really, really good for him. And he's getting to use years and years of knowledge of playing support to translate it into to good ADC play. I think they're going to go 1-1 versus TLW. I've been a big, like, waiting for the bubble to bust on TLW kind of guy all season. So I think a 1-1 there is fair. I think they still need to get more comfortable in their mid lane, but I think Eggy is sort of finding his footing again. So I'm not comfortable giving him a 2-0 yet, but 1-1 feels good. F5 versus TSM. I think TSM showed up the week after I called them Team Soft Mental and then just hasn't done anything miraculous since, and they're regressing back to Team Soft Mental. So I don't know. F5 had a great week last week, drafted well, consistently mediocre, which is the weird way to describe F5, but like I don't ever think F5 is going to be the best team, but they're never going to be the worst team. And so that helps a lot in a league where people are constantly throwing because we all suck.
I've never heard myself described as a player.
LJ BP versus Dogwater Gaming. I'm just going 1-1. I agree with Josh's sentiment that Kim Peter has been neutralized by worse supports this split. But I think there's some life in there. I think they're finding something. And when you look at the way they've been drafting and playing the last couple of weeks, they're consistently trying to do the same thing over and over again. And I think there's some merit to just trying to nail a theme and like getting better at it week by week. And they're getting better. So I hope they take another step forward this week. Bofa versus Shenanigans. I have Shenanigans taking a 2-0 here. I like Bofa as a potential 1-1 here, but I think Bofa panics under pressure. And like I said, when I think it was 2 weeks ago, that like Shenanigans loves those 4-man TPs, loves putting on stupid pressure in all sorts of weird places, dives, really forces you to make mistakes. They're the only team in the league that forces you to make mistakes rather than waiting for your mistakes. And I think that could play into their hands. So I have Shenanigans going 2-0, and then here's where we're going to get the flame for the week. I have been watching your scrims. I spectate your scrims. What you are doing is not going to change what's happening on the Rift. And until we talk a lot about like Fred being the difference in this. I don't think it's just Fred. I think it is a whole picture thing. But like until you guys start playing the same shit over and over again and like getting consistent with one good comp and understanding why the one thing that you're doing or the thing that you're doing isn't working and vice versa, it's gonna seem the same. Like you guys started strong and have continually regressed week by week, and one could even argue that the games are looking worse week to week. And I think that's why TLC takes a 2-0 here. I think TLC had a good week last week. I think they're figuring it out, and having watched 12 or 13 of the new Worlds, the play-in games that we're seeing at Worlds, the fucking 1-2 punch of mid lane jungle is the most disgusting thing going around Worlds right now. And safe bot lanes, unabused bot lanes are things that are like consistent, and that's what their team does. And what even you and I have verbally had conversations about is that like your bot lane's not getting attention, you know? So like the new meta in this new patch plays into TLC's hands, and I see them having a huge upswing. And like I'm just gonna add it because Lord, if you pick it this weekend, I'm gonna go ballistic. But like Sejuani mid ain't it. Like that ain't gonna fix it. So, or was it Sedge top? I don't know. Whichever it was. Like,
have you been watching our games? Because we haven't picked Sedge mid.
I'll pull it up. There was it Garfield who was on it? It was Sedge. He had Sedge with TP. It was either top or in
probably
mid,
a top
like,
lane Sejuani.
It was top lane Sedge. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be some consistency there. And I'm a big. We brought me on here to be spicy, and that's my spicy. Like, we're not good enough players to try different things every week. You know, like we've got to play one thing and get good at it. And if we're changing it up week to week, we're going to struggle. I think that's why Boom is finding more success. They found something and they're sticking to it. I think it's why Ep5 finds success. They found something, they're sticking to it. Like, it's time for that to happen because y'all had a really good week in the first week, and I was high on y'all's team. I remember saying like I'm high on roll, and then the next week like the game plan totally changed, and I was like, what's happening? So that's my take. 2-0.
Justin, I'm gonna let you say the thing, but I know Josh probably has to dip on us. Josh, who is your player to watch for this week?
My player to watch this week is Mammoth for the exact reasons that I talked about before. With that match for this week with the with the Boom versus TLW match. Sorry, I blanked on names. With the Boom versus TLW match, I think a lot of this game is gonna rest on Mammoth's shoulders, either to be a force that neutralizes Skiz in any instance of his playing, and then as well equally is able to carry and provide agency for his team to perform well. 2, he's a very big voice on the team. 1 is the captain, 2 is one of the better players, or more experienced players as well. So I think he's an important person to watch and a catalyst for this Boom team as well. Though if Mammoth booms, then the series is lost.
Nope.
Okay. I don't know, man. He's one of those that I think he's waking up and choosing violence, as I said before.
Oh my god, man! One joke in a Twitch chat.
Yeah, I know. But Justin, do you
wait? What? What was the joke in the Twitch chat? What?
The joke was that since he was 30 minutes late, I think Ryan got in the chat and said he woke up 2-0'd.
He woke up
chose violence.
And he like popped off. He had like 13 kills. I was like, wow, Grant woke up and chose violence today.
Josh is doing his practices or his tryouts for his collegiate team.
Yeah.
All signs point to him being one of the best players trying out for that team, so he's more than likely going to get in, but, you know, taking it as seriously as he does. Good luck to Josh. All right, so, Justin.
Salty remarks first? So, yes, I do agree with finding consistency will start winning you games, but our team has not found something that consistently works for us. So, we strongly went into this next week just keeping our mentals in check. I've had a lot more fun actually playing with my team now that it's like, well, if we're not gonna there is still a chance for playoffs, but if we're not seriously searching for the playoff hopes, that we're going to play these games with a positive mental attitude, and that's actually making us follow through on calls, communicate better, and just be better in game overall. So we do have some spicier picks, I think, coming up. I'm happy overall, just being able to play something that I enjoy. And I don't know. I'm excited to see how this week goes. I still think it's going to be a 1-1, that we can take a game off of TLC. We will see how it goes. I'm hoping to prove you all wrong.
All right, who are you watching?
I am watching, however, let me go back to the thing. I am watching Fleeing Panda. Reason I'm watching Fleeing Panda is so we have seen some spark in LJBP. And I think Panda has a really good matchup this week into DWG, which is Big Doc Jimmy. I think those two match up pretty well together. Panda being more of a supportive top laner than Jimmy, and I think he's going to be the difference in these games if LJBP is to take any games off of DWG. So,
all right, Ryan, who are you watching this week?
I'm watching Squints. And the reason why I'm watching Squints is because between the scrims that I watched before I stopped coaching Boom, I was watching their scrims against Boom. Like, you look at the way that the role ADC is currently being played in both pro play and success in solo queue. And that's the way Squints plays the game. And, like, I particularly saw it today when I was watching C9 play, and Zen was playing Ezreal, and I have seen Justin make similar choices, right? Like on a champion that he's super comfortable on. And when I watch role play, he's making those choices, but there's just not the gold on him or the resources given to him. And like, if I was coaching role, I would want to give Justin the keys to the car this week. Like, if you want to win, stop pretending like what you're doing is working and stop trying to vary that, and give, in my opinion, with the way games have been played out, your best player the opportunity to drive the car. You saw it with the Penta last week where, like, I get it, it was a little bit of cleanup, but like there's confidence in Justin to make those kinds of plays. So let him drive the car, let him win you the game, and if it doesn't work, piss off and do something else. You were going to get O2'd anyways. Like, give Justin the chance to drive the car. What's working isn't working. One of the things I've talked about week by week when I cast his games, when I have done Salty Runback, Fred got over, I think it was 80% of his first bloods in the bot lane during the mini split last year. That has not been the case this split.
Like, at times with Justin has AD carry in that bot lane.
Yeah, so it's like there's a disconnect going on there, and as soon as that clicks, Squints is going to put himself in the conversation for probably the best. I personally think that Grant is the most valuable ADC, maybe not the most skilled ADC at the position, but the most valuable right now. Squints can do the same thing for that team that Grant is doing for Boom. So let him drive the car, let him get loose, let him play what he wants. I don't need to see zigs anymore. Like, let him drive the car, and y'all will pick up some wins and maybe make a push for playoffs. But if that doesn't happen, if we don't unleash the beast, then role is going to turn into burnt toast very quickly. So that's my take.
All right.
I love you, Justin.
I do my best.
The support is there for Justin. I'm also looking at this game for my player to watch. I'm looking on the opposite side, and I'm looking at Labber Dabber Do. Josh brought up a good point.
A little in my mouth as you said that.
Josh brought up a good point when talking about the way that Labby and his lane partner like to play the game, which is they're very much, and they're not like, I consider Ep5's bot lane to be a very facilitative bot lane for what we do on the top half of the map. We have the potential to carry should, our opponents make the misstep, but we don't actively, like, every single chance we get, look for that misstep to punish it. Sometimes the misstep comes, I see it, and I'm just like, no, we're not taking it because I don't see the jungler or I don't see something else. Like, and I view the way Labby plays the game and the way that they play their bot lane on the side of TLC. This is the kind of the exact same style that we play. They play a controlled and measured style of play, and to kind of jump off your point where you're talking about Fred really needs to put the emphasis down on bot lane. I don't know if he's going to be able to find it with the way that these guys like to play. I think the potential is there, but it's going to require, it's going to require him to force. It's going to require him to be this, he's going to have to play a champion that's like a Lee Sin or somebody that can get really aggressive about the angles of approach that they have, because Labby doesn't really give too much of anything unless he's just flat out caught. He doesn't really offer too much of anything as far as vulnerability, and I think that's going to be hard for Squints and his buddy to snowball off of. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on Labby and see how well he does this week for that reason, because I think if Roll can identify that this is the weakest aspect of TLC's lane in terms of just quote unquote skill, like elo, then they can really thrive if they get to thriving off of them. But if that doesn't get established and Fred doesn't put his attention down on bot lane and doesn't get that gold in Squint's hands, then they're going to end up getting gapped through the rest of their map play. And that is why I'm watching Labby this week. As far as other things that we've got going on, the results for our Tyler 1 Memorial Award.
Wait, are we doing that now?
Yeah, we've got the results in. We're not going to do the full thing because we need Josh. So I'm going to go ahead and announce like our community voted one and our mod voted one, since Josh told me that one. So as far as our mod voted, most lovely captain person to work with, Grant won that, Mammoth. Grant ran away with it, Good on Grant. You're the most loved by the mods. Congrats. You're the favorite child. As far as our community voted one, that was also very close. Let me pull up my form here real quick.
I get it. I won. I understand. I won.
Yeah, you're playing in the split too. So we didn't have a whole lot in the way of votes, but this is very close. Actually, Grant won this award too. However, two of his votes came from members of the Salty Runback, myself and Justin, just because we were getting names on the board, making sure the thing worked. So the second place people behind him, though, it's a two-way tie, and it's Malcolm XYZ and Kim Peter. Malcolm XYZ and Kim Peter were voted by their community members to be the most sportsmanly and brotherly and gentlemanly people to play against. And so I'm going to call it a two-way tie for those gentlemen being our T1 Memorial Award winning peoples, since Grant already has got his nod as being a favorite child elsewhere.
Grant's got his hardware.
So as I said before, Josh is doing his tryouts for his collegiate team this week. We had intentions on doing our Salty Runback superlatives this week, and we've pretty much got those in as a lock. We might revisit those and do some swapping around after our previous week's results. But all that said, that's going to all come out hopefully next week if Justin's got the time for it. If not, it could be just one of those things where I make a bunch of graphics and I slap it on the page and I'm like, yo, this is all of your SRB superlatives, peoples. Look at them. Look at them and tell them they did a good job. Other than that, do you guys have anything?
This week's games are going to be fucking Super Bowl Sunday for PMLs, yes. We got 4 games on Sunday. I'm going to be reaching out to the people who cast quite a bit, but I know a lot of them are playing on Sunday. So if you can volunteer and you're not someone who's playing in the split, it would be greatly appreciated. Please reach out. The other thing that is coming out, I don't really care if I get snitched on for this or not. Fire me. We are having a meeting as a mod team this weekend, and as someone who got not elected, I was the only person that ran. As someone who was motivated to see change in the league, particularly in the way we did things and sort of the cry out from the community for change. This is the first of our hopefully monthly mod meetings. And I would like to know what you guys would like us to discuss. The meeting isn't going to be open to the public yet, though that is something that I'm pushing for in the future. But let me know what you want us to discuss. I was asked to submit minutes for it, and it occurred to me that I haven't really talked with the player base all that much, outside of like going ballistic over streaming issues. So if you can, please reach out to me, tell me what your concerns are. I will synthesize them and try to get as many of them discussed this weekend as we possibly can.
Yeah, and to that same
And
point,
fuck the mods.
got him. To that same coin, I'm sure Josh's DMs are also available to be filtered into. So in case you don't like Ryan for whatever reason, you can talk to Josh because he's much more.
Whatever reason. Whatever reason.
Josh is he's just a handsome motherfucker, so it's understandable to want to slide in his DMs.
Josh and I agree on everything. He's basically just the more approachable version of me.
There we go. As far as other things, Justin, do you have anything?
Yeah, and if you don't want to go into Ryan's or Josh's DMs, Jake and I are an open ear. Nothing's gonna get done, but like just bitch at us. That's a great time.
I can guarantee you that I wake up about once a day. I start my day at 4:00 every morning, my time, CST. I get to work and I sit down. I do 1 hour of work, and then my day plateaus and goes down a hill where I have absolutely nothing to do. So I do all of our draft prepping. I do all of the event planning that I'm trying to get going for us. So our brothers that are not active in the split has something to do. I'm trying to get tournaments going. I'm trying to do my gosh darn bestest so that we have nice things in this community, and the way that I know how to do them with absolutely no talent. And you can message me and I'll be like, yo, this person messaged me, and I will spam Josh and or Ryan and or the Salty Runback Facebook chat that we have about 40 times discussing a thing. I did that this morning where I was like, I randomly thought of a thing and I messaged another chat that I'm in. I'm like, what do you guys think of this shit? And we went off from there. So do that. Talk to me or Justin too. We like to make sure that we're involved and keeping our fingers on the pulse of our community, making sure everybody's happy and content. Other than that, kind of tangentially to what I just mentioned, hopefully there will be a event in motion here soon. I'm waiting on the final look from our community manager to make sure that he is okay with everything, as I have just made out the rules and format for a small tournament that will be arranged hopefully either at the end of this month of October or at the beginning of next month of November, hopefully with us having a week off between playoffs so that we can have that fun event for everybody if, we don't have to worry about playoffs and have to fight over stream channels. So keep posted on that stuff coming to the page soon. I know I've been talking about it a lot, but I'm really excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, I believe that finishes off for the week. Right.
Nobody talked to Justin. He has to focus on carrying this week.
He has to focus on carrying, which means I'm going to make the player cards probably. All right. We're out of here, guys. Y'all have a good one.